With MetaConnect approaching next month and all signs pointing towards the fact that a new Quest 3S is probably going to drop at MetaConnect and open up pre-orders to launch later in the next month, I keep getting comments from people asking, what is a Quest 3S? Who is a Quest 3S for? Should I get a Quest 3S? So let's break this down real quick for everybody. First, what is a Quest 3S? For a long time, this was rumored and called the Quest 3 Lite. It is a simpler version or a dumbed down version of a Quest 3, but it has the same Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 processor inside, meaning it would be able to play the same high quality games on it. It's got the same full color cameras for mixed reality pass-through, so the AR games could be developed the same way, or MR games depending on what term you use. It even has the same controllers as the Quest 3 and this tracking style of all of it, but where it is dumbed down, it looks like it's going to have a bulkier shell because it uses the same Fresnel style lenses that the Quest 2 had. That means it can have regular screens inside of it because the Quest 3 itself uses what's called pancake lenses. They're beautiful. You can see through them really clearly. There's no God rays, but it means they have to have much brighter, smaller screens behind them to power them. Those consume more power. They're way more expensive to produce the headsets, and it's a big reason why the Quest 3 is $500, where this 3S is slated to come out at $300, but be able to do all the same stuff the Quest 3 does. Then they can manufacture the headsets much cheaper, sell them cheaper, and get VR back into the hands of everybody and stop fracturing the industry, because right now there's a lot of these Quest 3 exclusive games that are starting to come out. Big titles like Batman coming up, Alien that's coming up, several other games are coming only to the Quest 3 and starting to really leave the Quest 2 behind. We've also started to see over the last few months that the Quest 2 has been running out of stock on the Meta site and other places, looking like they're trying to sell the last of it out before replacing it with this lower end, less expensive headset. So far, aside from it being the newer headset, it doesn't look like there will be any significant upgrades from the Quest 3 to the 3S, besides the fact that there may be a new action button inside. The IPD slider that you're used to now on the Quest 3, where you can move the lenses easily from the outside, looks like it's missing, and it's going to be the old style like the Quest 2 had, where you have to reach in and click the lenses side to side, risking smudging them and just being less customizable for everybody. So with all of that, it's really becoming necessary for them to keep some sort of lower priced headset on the market, but not make the developers have to keep developing on two completely different processors and platforms. It can simplify the industry by replacing the Quest 2 with the 3S at the same price, and unfortunately alienating customers of the two, people especially who bought them recently when they were on sale. As we've seen in the past though, it doesn't seem like the Quest lineup has been too concerned with people who bought the previous headsets, like back when the Quest 1 came out. 1 year later, a Quest 2 came for $100 cheaper, and they pretty quickly discontinued the Quest 1. I get tons of comments saying that is a natural evolution in tech. That's just the way it is. And if you look at these things more like the smartphone market, that does make sense. But if you look at them like the gaming console market, these things come in and burn out really fast, and some of them have a very short life as far as a gaming console would go. So that really depends on which way you're looking at it. But ultimately, with all of that in mind, who is a Quest 3S for? If you currently own a Quest 2 and you really want to play these big new games, your headset's dying, it's old, it's breaking, a Quest 3S could be for you, especially if you only want to spend $300 and not spend $500 or more. If you don't have a headset you've been looking to get in for a while and you don't want to jump to the full price of a Quest 3, the 3S is also looking like a great option for you. You get pretty much everything you get with the Quest 3, and if you haven't owned a Quest 3 and been using pancake lenses, the screens and the lenses on the Quest 3S should be more than sufficient and enjoyable for you. If you're a Quest 3 owner already, but you want to get friends in, play multiplayer games with them, have people over at your house for VR night, a Quest 3S would be a cheap way to get a full other headset that functions with it just the same and be able to play together with people. If you're a tech enthusiast or someone who just keeps up with everything VR like me, I'll be getting a 3S for sure. It's probably something you're going to want to get just to see what it's like, compare it, try it out. And so for all those people, I'd say they can make a case for getting the 3S. But if you are a Quest 3 owner, you're happy with your headset, you're loving the games on it, you spent $500 on it, there's really no reason to go and get a 3S. The 3S is the lighter version, and if you had it and then they're both sitting there side by side on a shelf and you're gonna play a game, ultimately you're probably always gonna pick up the 3, and there'd be no reason to pick up the 3S instead. In the world of VR gaming news, there's a lot going on this week. There was a big showcase, a whole bunch of games, some big games on sale. Currently one to highlight here, if you've been watching out for it, Shaven Stuff is actually on a big sale, 47% off. And if you're a Quest Plus subscriber, you actually get an additional 5% off, meaning it's over half off for you. Shaven Stuff is a hilarious VR game where you're put in either as a barber or a tattoo artist, where you get to groom and mold the look of the people in front of you for better or or worse and have fun doing it. And the game is pretty popular and well known, and with over 13,000 ratings has a perfect 5-star rating, with over 98% of those being 5 and 4 stars. People saying they absolutely love it. People saying it's the best game. It's so fun with friends, and they love the new mixed reality mode where you can have the people actually in your space with you. A lot of you are probably familiar with the game already because it shows up all the time in the top 10 Quest games lists for ones that are selling the most. So if you haven't gotten it already, right now is a good chance while it's on this big of a sale and before the new season starts. I'll leave links in the comments and description down below. I want to say thank you to them for sponsoring this week's news and giving us a game that we can actually practice cutting people's hair if we ever end up in a situation again where we all are stuck at home and have to cut our own hair. We reported to you before that Meta said game developers shouldn't be able to access your Quest 3's pass-through cameras. They can only see the data that shows how the shapes of things are in the room, the actual dot points around you. But it turns out now a developer figured out how to actually access your Quest 3's pass-through cameras, meaning unless you're an exhibitionist, the days of playing VR with nothing on and all bunch of mirrors in your room might be something you'd want to think twice about. Basically, one of the developers of the hand tracking fitness app XR Workout posted a video showing the results of a workaround to that restriction, and it's pretty technical how they actually got to it, but basically there was a web view where the web browser was able to access what you would see if you were to go to oculus.com/casting, which is a popular way to show people what you're playing directly on your computer screen, or I've even used it before in live streams with the Quest to show what's happening inside the Quest when I'm playing a game. There's no clue yet what Meta will do if they'll find a way to nerf this, because we had talked about before in the news how Boz had talked about whether it was worth potentially giving developers access to pass-through to be able to create better apps that utilize it better, but obviously the huge privacy concerns and everything that comes with that. The developer did offer to hop on a call with Zuck or Boz and show them the technique to help out, but this is where I'd love to hear from you on this one. I personally consider if I have a phone camera in front of me or a VR headset camera, I consider that there's always a possibility someone's watching with any of those, and so I try to think according to, what am I willing to be out there? But what about you? Is it something where you feel completely safe, you don't worry about this, or after seeing enough videos of people like Mark Zuckerberg with a laptop in the background and a sticky note covering his webcam, have you started to do the same? There was a big VR games showcase this week, but we were in Seattle when it happened, so we haven't had a chance to fully report on the new games yet. But if you missed the showcase, there's actually quite a few surprises in it from games that we had talked about a little bit, like how Hitman 3 is coming fully redesigned for Quest and looking like it's going to be a much more functional version of it than the one we saw on PSVR that used a DualShock controller kind of awkwardly. A surprise to me was Arizona Sunshine, but a remake, not something we're seeing too often so far in the world of VR, but the original Arizona Sunshine, a beloved game, is coming back with revamped graphics and a more modern VR combat and weapon system as soon as October 17th. I feel like I've been seeing that date floating around a lot. It's making me kind of wonder about the date we're going to see on the Quest 3S. Action Hero, a game that literally tries to put you into the scenes of different types of action movies, making you the hero in them. Grim, which is basically a spiritual successor or a VR inspired version of Rust. Silent North, which keeps being compared to DayZ. Into the Radius 2, a sequel I'm really looking forward to, is already in early access on Steam, but is coming to PSVR 2 on September 19th. Fracked making its way over as it was on PSVR for a while to Quest. And then an array of several different games from the new Flat to VR gaming studios that's coming out from Impact Reality. Flat Out, Trombone Champ, one game that really reminded me a lot of Doom. I'll leave a breakdown in the comments down below if you want to go check out a full list of everything that was announced, but it does feel like between these and some of the bigger titles coming later this year, things are really starting to heat up in the VR space again. And talking about some of the biggest games coming up of the year, big titles that we're excited about, of course, Batman is probably top of the list for most people, but there's also Metro Awakening, Behemoth, which we've been waiting on forever, the new Alien game, which we finally saw some gameplay for, and Hitman, which we mentioned, has now dropped an actual gameplay trailer showing off what we can expect to see in the game, with the trailer looking like the game was really fully designed for VR this time. The graphics not quite standing up to the PlayStation, but still being a Quest 3 exclusive, looking like they are going to look quite good on the Quest, and somehow still saying summer of 2024 even with summer winding down. But it seems like there are a lot of big and small titles in the next 6 months coming, and with a lot of things showing off those October release dates, I'm personally really hopeful that we're going to see the next headset be out by mid-October. If you've been with me for a while, unfortunately these kind of announcements aren't that surprising anymore, but another VR developer is shutting down. Archiact, a studio you probably recognize the name of if you were following and you might have played Doom 3 in VR, the proper port that was actually designed and wasn't a mod. And even amidst this time where it seems like there's a lot of excitement coming for VR between this and the news we just dropped the other day of how GTA San Andreas is basically dead said in an announcement from Meta, it does show the volatility and the ups and downs of the entire gaming industry still affects VR as well. But overall right now, I'm feeling like it's mostly good news out there. It's a positive season we're leading into here. How are you feeling about it? Are you out there with the Quest 3 loving it? Are you still rocking a Quest 2 and considering the Quest 3S? I'd love to keep the conversation going with you in the comments down below. I am taking off for Germany tomorrow for Gamescom. We're still trying to shoot for having daily uploads here for you like we do every day, something for you to watch, whether they're shorts or long. And if you don't follow me over on Instagram, there will be a lot of posts there showing what's going on in Germany, at least what I am allowed to show at the time. So hit me up over there. But thank you once again for being here with me today, and I'll see you in another reality.